The OldPreMeds podcast, session number 198. You're a non-traditional student entering the medical field on your terms. You may have had some hiccups along the way, but now you're ready to change course and go back and serve others as a physician. This podcast is here to help answer your questions and help educate you on your non-traditional journey to becoming a physician. Welcome to the OldPreMeds podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, your host here every week, where I take questions directly from the non-traditional pre-med forum over at premedforums.com. If you haven't checked out oldpremeds.org lately, go check it out. We just redid our webpage, and hopefully it'll help you on your journey to medical school. We have a great question today about burnout, something that students struggle with all of the time. Our student today says, I've been a CNA since 2013, worked plenty of overtime, and probably have 8,000-ish hours of experience doing this job. I am burnt out. With my current stats, 2.83 overall, 2.7 science GPA, I still have a couple years worth of coursework to bring my stats above a 3.0 and closer to 3.5s as long as I maintain a 4.0 and to complete an MS in biomedical sciences. I really want to move into a research position for the next couple of years at the university I'm attending because I think I can make much more significant contributions as a research assistant than a CNA at this point in time, and having weekends to study would be amazing. Right now, to keep my health insurance, I work Saturday, Sunday, and a night shift during the week so I can go to classes Monday through Friday. Would it look bad to admissions committees if I shift from a primarily clinical job to a research role for the next couple of years? I don't want to hinder my chances of an acceptance because I didn't just stick it out for the next 2 years at the hospital where I currently work. I know in the long run, I want to return to this hospital as a physician and continue to serve this wonderful community. All right, so we have a great question here about burnout and the activities that the student is doing to kind of fulfill the quote checklist of getting clinical experience. Now, this student has a ton of clinical experience as a CNA. Now, do you have to be a CNA to get clinical experience? Absolutely not. And I think that's the core of this answer. You can definitely switch into a research role and continue to get clinical experience in a different way, right? You could work a per diem shift as a CNA once a month and maintain some sort of consistency with your clinical experience so that you're not just stopping cold turkey. Now, if you're at this point and you are burning out right now, then definitely it's something you should look at doing. My biggest concern is, why are the grades so low? Did you start off really poorly, or are you continuing to do poorly because you are burnt out, because you are too busy working as a CNA to get everything else done? I think that's the biggest question for me. As you are trying to figure out this journey, make sure that you figure out your grades right now. Before you make another decision, make sure you figure out your grades. Do not register for another class. Do not register for another major. Do not register for another degree without figuring out your grades, your study habits, your academic abilities, so that you can make sure you do get that 4.0 moving forward. Now, you don't have to get all the way up to a 3.5. That's going to take a long time, but a year or two of really strong, positive upward trend will definitely help out here. Now, I don't necessarily think you need a master's degree in biomedical sciences. A master's degree is a separate GPA calculation on AMCAS. It's a separate GPA calculation on a COMIS. There is a combined kind of overall GPA on a COMIS, and some schools may calculate a combined GPA with your undergrad and master's, but more and more, I am seeing schools give preference to undergraduate GPAs. So a master's degree for most students, it seems, is a waste of time and a waste of money. specifically to help you get into medical school. Now, if you want to do an MPH because you really love public health and you want to integrate that into your practice as a future physician, great. Go ahead, maybe stop and see if you can integrate it into your medical school as well. But if that's what you want, great. If you're doing it to improve your chances of getting into medical school, I would potentially think twice about it. Now, as far as giving up or quote, stopping working as a CNA to go into research, that's not necessarily a red flag. It's just you found a different passion. You found something that will work with your schedule better to improve your grades. So don't think of it in terms of medical schools being concerned that you're stopping the clinical work. Again, maintaining some sort of clinical consistency is going to be important. So if you can pick up a per diem shift as a CNA or as a hospice volunteer, doing something that will give you some clinical experience as you continue forward in this research position, again, making sure your grades are still high, then that will be much better. So don't worry about the schools. They're not going to care too much about you stopping all of your clinical work. You obviously have a ton of hours doing it, and you're transitioning into something else that will work for you. At the end of the day, you have to figure out what's going to work for you. And if there are some schools out there that aren't going to like it, too bad, because the alternative is you continue staying burnt out and then you just give up on this dream altogether. So keep pushing forward, make those changes that you need. Don't worry about the schools, and make sure you get this done. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have a question you want answered here on the Old Pre-Meds podcast, go to premedforums.com, register for an account if you don't already have one, ask your question, and hopefully it'll be answered here on the podcast. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time here on the Old Pre-Meds podcast.
This is MedEd Media.